YouTube and the government are currently messing with me. There's a full video listed about it in the description and is a pinned comment. If you haven't watched it already, please head over there and give it a bit of a watch. It also has some updates regarding the series channel that might be important to you. Anyways, on to the story. Nature of Predators, Book 2, Chapter 57. Memory transcription subject Tassie, Bison, Alien Liaison. Date Standardized Human Time, October 27th, 2160. Finding myself staring at Ambassador Loxel, who was newly arrived at the Sivkit settlement on Avrana, I couldn't help but be floored by the size of the mountain of oranges that he was sitting on. The incoming supply of oranges was what convinced him to pack his bags for our planet, not the fact that Bison and Sivkit engineers were working on building ships together. Despite the specious remarks about being Sivkit-brained, the fluffball seemed quite clever. The machines were resilient and meant to last, something needed for expedition ships that saw use for years. Shedding the Federation's yoke had allowed them to catch up a bit on the learning path and innovate to fill the gaps. The fleet wouldn't hold up against an entire galaxy or a strike force like we'd seen on Tusk. But we were no longer completely defenseless. Gaining two powerful allies in the Oxel and the Yodel would shield us even further. But that was why I was welcoming Loxel in person. The flamboyant Sivkit needed to somehow be convinced to join an alliance that involved the Oxel Collective. General Naltor had been waiting for the battles at Arthur and Nishtal to draw nearer before making a move. Those worlds were further from the border of SC space, which meant the enemy took a substantive amount of the time to reach the planets, facing a scattering of FTL disruptors. As grueling as the trek was, with the interstellar distances they were traveling, it was a miracle that they could get there within months at sublight travel. Then again, that was misleading. When their main option to speed up the process was taking out disruptors and hopping along at microscopic warp distances, I knew our potential recruits for the Carnivore Alliance would be too distracted by this impending assault to give us their full attention. The Varsal, however, were eager to swear fealty to us after we saved them and took in refugees. I wonder how the Varsal and the Sivkits are getting along. We've kept them separated, but included the both parties in an alliance. The Varsal destroyed and hid Tinzas, then broke the native spines and purposely dumbed them down. Let's start with sending him an Oxel. I've seen that the humans will not cannonade Tinzas ere long. They'll roll over, capitulate to the certainty of expiry. Here, Tassie, our days are numbered. Noxel stalked down the pile of citrus before purposely sinking deeper into it, to take on the appearance of drowning. Death amid this glorious hairberry of oranges, which you so kindly remanded, is nigh. There are worse fates. Nevertheless, the humble Sicilian of Bisoms is saying farewell. I accept oblivion, for we are doomed, Wanian upon us. I stared at where the ears stuck out amid the fruits unamused. Good morning, Loxel. Remind me of our deal. For every loquacious speech I give, a Sivkit refugee is eaten. I volunteer Elder Ronsva. She is old and has very little life ahead of her. Death will be a tentivity for her. Her caducity speaks of her itself. Claim her flesh now, hell, never. She won't make it long enough to be a plaything for the Greys. Hey, eating Sivkit refugees was not our deal. Also, Luxful, if you know of an Oxel took you as cattle, they would not make it through a minute of your yammering. Cut! Sivkit emerged from the fruits and placed a knife in my flippers. I immediately questioned why he was carrying a weapon, and briefly considered that he might have given it to me to frame me. Yammering was a good word for you, but you have no stage presence, Tassie. I've given up on getting you to move as you deliver your lines. Just twirl the knife menacingly, maybe place it in your beak after, and then lean forward. I'm not delivering lines. I'm trying to have a conversation. Those are the same thing. Where is your conviction? You must speak with passion. What even is your passion? Have you more in your heart than ingurgitating vish? I pressed the flipper over my eyes, throwing the knife to the ground. Finding aliens was my passion. I've lived to regret that. That was a good non-verbal. I I'm proud of you. It's lacking expression like woe is me or this shall be the death of me. Those are simplistic ones. With your rudimentary speech patterns, work those in. I can feel the years of my life ticking down with each of our chats. Yes! Good! I believe you there, Darcy. Because I'm speaking the truth. The Sifkit's face turned crestfallen. I thought you liked studying literature with me. I do, Maxwell, I said hurriedly, not wanting to hurt his feelings. What I don't like is how you try to perform or talk over my head all the time. Then try to make me act like a lunatic too. Act like? There is no act like. I am one. An actor must become their role, and I can't soul anything short of devotion of one's entire being. Dedication. Supplanting your flimsy winds. Transformation. Rebirth. Struggling to hang on to why I'd come here in the first place, I tried to get back to Nolto's call. So you're frustrated that the humans haven't tried again to take Tinzas, and you think that you're going to become playthings for the Greys. The Oxor have returned, and browse some with her in this region. An army that'll delight in a savory recreant Sivkit. And you, Loxel hung the accusatory word, circling around me. Command them into battle! The Bison General proclaimed it to the SC thralls. I heard it. The Oxall saved Tusk. That's supposed to be a good thing. Every crevasse in Tinzas's desert shall glaciate before we forgive one of those floppy-eared varlets. Arient and fossil from their lands. Bison, have you any pity for the lowly grazer? Listen to me, Loxel, I pleaded. Forget about the fossil. The Oxall are powerful, and they have an army. Remember how you said you were upset the humans weren't the bloodthirsty predators that'd exact your revenge? Naps were invented for being around the globberous terrors and getting but to sleep by their hunting doldrums. My play is a much less jejune, though I fear the simians' performances might render it so. They are uninteresting, and they make you look spirited, Darcy. Thanks. Look, my point is, if you truly don't like how the Terrans are handling this, and you want a species that's more predatory, they might be able to go all out for Tinzas. You should talk to the Oxal. They could protect you, since you're with the carnivores like us, and maybe go after what you want. They also succeeded against the enemy at Tosk, while the SC lost their prior engagement. Moxell's eyelids twitched erratically. Are you saying we partner with the Greys, walk ourselves into the cattle pens, so they can rain fire and Tinzas at our behest? Retract the cattle pen part and yes. If you want a truly predatory species as an ally, that's your only option. We can make it happen. I see. Wicked delight gleamed in Sivkit's eyes, and he picked up the knife with determination. Why didn't I think to sick the Greys and the thieves of our world? Take me to their leader. Oh, okay. We can do that, just not right now. I need time to prepare the leaders for this over-the-top ball of psychosis. Get in touch with the Oxor and arrange the meeting. We'll let you know when they're available. In the meantime, you can think over your terms and eat your oranges. There's so very many. Loxel picked up an orange, scraping a knife against the peel in slow motion. Fine! Bring me more of these, or else. I'll, have someone bring you more soon. Goodbye, Loxel. I strolled away from the self-proclaimed lunatic, relieved that I improvised a way to get him to agree to the alliance with the Oxel with such ease. If Kaisel was introduced to Ambassador Loxville, however, I wasn't sure he'd be keen on buddying up to the grand herd. Getting the bison public used to the Sivkits was challenging enough, when the entire area next to the village had already been stripped of grasses and vegetation. We needed to find an alternative food source for them quickly, and I didn't think that we could ship enough oranges from Earth to stem the tide. The fossil might be the ones who would have ideas in that, but I'd never consult them for their expertise on shaping species to fit their wishes. The refugees from Tolsk were living a more quiet existence on Avrana. Their planet must have been quite impoverished after the war, since they reacted to our basic aid like it was an overflowing pool of wealth. Beggars couldn't be choosers. and I doubted they would exact any conditions to ally with us. We just needed to keep a close eye on them, ensuring they didn't try to change us the way they'd done curing the Arxel, or in the cultural manipulation sense they tried with every species. All the same, having a presentable alien race might be instrumental in getting by some volunteers to take in the Osas. We had less than 2 months before the resurrected carnivores who we knew nothing about were born. That left the Jotun in Nultal's domain. Since he could keep up with the shrewd marsupials, the intelligence-sharing plot was a countershot at the Terrans for attempting to twist the fishing for alien intelligence scientists into a spy. I was more hopeful that I could get a headway with the recruits I had proposed, the Zeridians. Bisons had worked with their rescue crews on Tusk and collaborated with them to divvy up the fossil refugees. They've been more than happy to ramp up training for our doctors abroad, focusing a lens on Sifkits and our newest guests. If they were willing to embrace us as equals on academic peers, that was good enough for me. I appreciated their charitable hearts amid the sea of extraterrestrial bigots. After talking with Loxel, video calling Ambassador Chowson back at the Sapien Coalition sounds like a walk on the beach. The Zeridians are not the top priority for Delta, but they've quickly become my lifeline. I need someone with the right intentions on our team. Dr. Tassie, a brown-furred quadruped, tilted his head, with the unusual semicircle ears that had caught my eye from the first meeting, and seemed to catch the Terran's eye as well. To what do I owe the pleasure? How are the refugees settling in? I panned the camera to show a scene behind me. Depends on which ones you mean. The Grand Hern make Tasia look stationary, with how quick they've moved from one green patch to the next. I'm not sure they even stay in the housing we gave them. Yes, Sifkits do have that reputation. Well, I appreciate your generosity. Perhaps you put off a bit more than you can chew. They can wreak havoc on worlds. I understand yours is already in dire straits. Cordia wouldn't necessarily even be willing to take them, though perhaps we could find a way to offload them for your sake. What? No, I appreciate that, Ambassador, but we don't want them gone. Not as of right now, anyway. With any luck, we'll get their homeworld back, and this will all be temporary. I'm not sure Earth wants to take another run at Tinsas. Certainly not of the attacks on two worlds, bringing those kinds of ship numbers to our doorsteps. Our offensive was rebuffed decisively, more lopsided than our victory at Tusk. The enemy, at least, got a few shots in there. The entirety of the Sapien Coalition didn't back Tusk. The real test is Nishtal. I understand the humans rallied the greatest force since they took Alpha, and ferried it on a ton of fortifications. It's no Kessler cage. The Crocodile would veto plans to add those sorts of defenses, I imagine. The Zeridian chuckled. That debris field was Tusk's saving grace. If we don't stop the drones before they get there, then Nishtal is going to be obliterated. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I suspect, as a contingency, we both should be prepared to take Crocodile refugees as well. The relocated civilians might find their displacement is more of a permanent nature if this goes wrong. We'll be ready to help if we're needed. At least most of the populace has been moved out of harm's way. There had to be, Tassie. Their numbers were so depleted between Nishtal's bombardment, the mass suicides after the Omnivore's reveal, and the Civil War. They were one of the species hit the hardest. A loyal follower of the Federation ideology, gutted to the bone for it. Sympathy tugged at my chest. It's a sad story. I'm disappointed just how many sad stories there are out in space. The Zeridians seem to be one of the few happy tales. We were lucky, I guess, that our altruistic missions were deemed suitable for fossil appropriation. Am I glad I gave the human visitor a chance all those years ago? Certainly. I listened to the science, persuaded my people, and we were rewarded for that. We landed on the right side of history. I'm sure you know what it is to be on the position of convincing your higher-ups. I chuckled. They don't listen to the experts until they realize that they have no idea what they're doing. Here on Avrana, the sad part is, by the time that dawns on them, it's often too late. Zeridians might have been like that once, for the fossil making our culture wholly about medicine might have backfired on them, making the lab results have a greater sway on us. I can't say. It might look rosy from the exterior, Tassie, but there's still so much that was taken from us. Depth, knowledge of our past, flaws. I don't know if it's a bad thing that you lose your flaws. Ours have us in a global war at the most crucial juncture in our history. If I could wave a flipper and make Bisons lose their worst traits. Charleston wrinkled his nose. No, you don't mean that. It's still part of you, shaping your culture with an invisible paw, influencing your actions and the paths you walk. It's hard to foresee the consequences of taking away one little thing. There are complex reasons for your conflict that you need to work out yourselves. I wish you'd stop the senseless bloodshed, but I wouldn't change you if I could, not even if it wished the war away. Thank you for not judging us. I wish the SC could see us for the sum of what we are, not the worst parts. They're looking for any excuse to believe that we're monsters. The humans were there once. Give it some time. It's unfortunate, but who really cares what a few small-minded parties think of you? You don't want hateful people by your side anyway, so you have to walk on glass. The Terrans had to hide a vast part of their culture to get along. Those aren't friends. We should have moved past that. You can do better. My heart felt warmed by Charleston's kind words. He had an air of wisdom about him. Thank you. I think you're right. We can do better, and I think better is you, the Xeridians. We'd like a more personal alliance with anyone who won't push us away, who'll accept us. I'd like our species to be friends. Oh, we are friends, dear Tassie, but I'm not sure what you mean by a more personal alliance. Would we open embassies and continue to welcome you to study in our institutions? Gladly. However, we are solely affiliated with the Sapient Coalition and intend to stay that way. Since you're in the SC, we'll afford you the same privileges as any of our other allies. What if we weren't in the SC, Charleston? Very little concerned that they're going to force us out eventually. They're looking for any excuse. They don't want carnivore allies. If you're unjustly cast out, we'll continue to work with you. You have my word. I hesitated, uncertain how much to tell the Xeridian. Ambassador, I'll be candid with you. Since I respect you, I sincerely want us to work together. There's a few other parties that have been left out by the SC. We're disgruntled with it as an organization. We're feeling like outsiders, so we want to establish our own sphere of influence, a union of misfits, one could say. Charleston's eyes gleamed as he was silent for a long moment. This is something to do with you taking refugees. You want allies who also have nowhere else to turn. I'm definitely not supposed to say yes to that, but you're right. Bisons direly need friends. I know there's nothing that you'd have to gain, and I'm still asking you to stand with us on the right side of history. I see. Just to be clear, what exactly are you proposing? If there's any way that we could have prolonged partnership beyond the SC's bounds, it'd mean so much to us. It could be something as simple as working together on humanitarian missions and signing deals to share the burden of refugees who want to be part of the galaxy. Bisons feel like that we're left on our own and everyone's out to take advantage of us. You're the only ones who just cares. Charleston drew a sharp breath. We pushed for the SC to help you when it became apparent that Avrana was hanging on by a precipice of ecological collapse. We'll do so again if you need someone to stand up for you. We'd always cooperate in aid mission with anyone willing. If having terms in writing would ease your mind, the Xeridians would be happy to do so. Thank you, Ambassador. I personally appreciate your support. Don't mention it. I trust we'll meet again in the SC halls quite soon. The Battle of Nishtal is likely to be underway in the next few weeks, and I imagine you'll be there to see the results. I'll be hoping for the best. We all will be. Take care, Tassie. The Xeridian disconnected from the call, and for the first time since first contact, I felt pure excitement to have an alien representative pledging to stand with us. Gaining Charleston's support in any way was a reason to maintain optimism. That Bisons could come out of this with an alliance that stood for more than self-interest. So far, I would say that General Nulter's plan to formulate our oddball alliance had been a success, with a vast majority of our greatest parties being amenable to joining flippers with us. It left only finalizing the deal with the Yotl and the Osas. End of chapter. I would like to thank our T5 members and patrons, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Vidmori, 050, Dragzoon W.R.E, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.